Alright, if you're a PlayStation gamer and you're planning to play GTA 6 on a PS5, or maybe you're just holding out for a PS5 Pro or even a next-gen PlayStation down the line, you do need to hear this before you buy anything. And by the way, drop a comment down below and tell me which system you guys are planning to play GTA 6 on, because this next part could genuinely change about how you go about getting the game. But anyways, here's something worth thinking about. A lot of PC gamers out there don't want to sit around waiting for Rockstar to confirm a PC release, and nobody wants to wait a full year after launch to play what's shaping up to be, possibly the biggest game ever made. So pretty much, plenty of people are just going to go out and grab a PlayStation console instead, and that's exactly why this next piece of information will matter to you. So it pretty much all comes down to how the digital codes for GTA 6 are going to work, because Rockstar has confirmed there will not be a physical disc version of the game, and at least not right away, and we'll get into why that's such a big deal in a minute. But first, Rockstar actually quietly dropped some details on their support page, and this is specifically a PlayStation problem, not an Xbox one, and here is why. So, Xbox codes are not region locked, so you could actually buy a code in the United States and redeem it in Japan with the zero issues. PlayStation, however, is a completely different story. So, according to Rockstar's own support page, PlayStation codes can only be redeemed on accounts registered to a specific set of countries or regions, and that is a big deal if you ever move after buying the game, or if you're someone who likes to save a few bucks by grabbing codes from third-party retail sites. There are tons and tons of those sites out there offering discounts, but you have to be extremely careful, because if you buy a code tied to the wrong region, it simply will not work on your account. For example, if you pick up a code meant for Brazil, you need a PlayStation account registered in Brazil. If you're in Argentina, Honduras, or Mexico, you'll need the Latin American version. If you live in Canada or the United States, you'll need the North American code. Mixing these up means you're stuck with a code you pretty much can't use. And the wild part of all of this is what's actually happening in Japan. So buried in the fine print, Rockstar states that product codes purchased in Japan will expire 170 days after the date they're issued. And pretty much what this means is that, which also, and this, by the way, this also lines up with the launch date of November 19th, 2026. So if we're talking about a code printed on launch day, that code becomes worthless if you haven't redeemed it by May 8th, 2027. And to me, that is wild, because, I have no idea what's driving that regulation. So if any of you guys know more about, than Japan, or if you know more about this, drop it in the comments, because it is fascinating. And also think about it like a gift, or a gift card, or one of those preloaded debit cards. That feeling when you open it, when you find one in the drawer. You're excited because you think you got $25 to spend, and then you flip it over and see it expired months ago, and now it's just a useless piece of plastic, pretty much. So, and it's just pretty much like, that's basically what Rockstar is doing here with these Japanese codes. And 170 days really isn't very long. That's basically half a year. Now, I don't think a huge number of people are going to buy the game and then just never, redeem it. But there's obviously going to be a small percentage of players who run into this exact issue and end up having to buy this game all over again. And then this whole situation does tie into something bigger, actually, which is Sony's controversial decision to phase out physical disc production altogether. That move has arguably, been one of the most unpopular decisions in the entire gaming industry over the past year. And interestingly enough, former Rockstar Games co-founder Dan Houser, along with Laszlo Jones, actually spoke about physical media in a recent interview with IGN. And remember, Dan Houser was actually the lead writer behind Grand Theft Auto for years, and Laszlo had a massive influence on the franchise as well. And when asked directly whether he personally cares about games being released on physical media, Hauser basically said that he's indifferent personally. So, but if fans want that option, companies should still offer it. He also pointed out that digital releases come with a real benefit, which is the ability to patch and improve games after launch, something that's genuinely helped overall game quality over the years. And Laszlo's take was a little different. He pretty much just talked about the nostalgic feeling of physically holding a game case and just putting the disc into the console. But then he also admitted he loves being able to download games instantly at the airport before a long flight. He also pretty much touched on how digital work has dominated their careers while creating, something physical like a comic book is a completely different and rewarding creative success. There's just something about this being able to point to an actual physical object and, say we made this. So basically Hauser's stance is straightforward. If fans want physical media, companies should provide it as an option. And honestly, based on how badly fans reacted to the Sony's announcement, I think Sony should seriously reconsider and bring physical discs back as a choice. But now, when it comes to Rockstar specifically, I actually understand why they're skipping physical discs, at least for now. It's definitely preventing leaks, but for now though, it's clear that even people who helped build this franchise are a little disappointed in where the industry is heading. And I do think physical media matters for a lot of practical reasons too. So just a few days ago, the PlayStation Network and PlayStation Store went down worldwide for hours. So now, imagine if something like that happened on November 19th, 2026, the exact day GTA 6 launches. But pretty much, if PSN goes down and you only own the digital version, there's a real chance you might not even be able to boot up the game you paid a full price for. And that's honestly a great reminder of why physical discs are so valuable in the first place. And it definitely will also be interesting to see whether Rockstar or Take Two Interactive ever directly address this. Take Two has their earnings call coming up in about a week and a half, landing on Friday, August 7th at 8 a.m. So we'll get updated pre-order number then, and showing just about how many copies have already been sold. But personally, I'd love to hear Strauss Zelnick or one of the other executives actually comment on the physical media situation and pretty much just explain why GTA is launching at a digital only title. And remember, even if you do buy a box edition, you're just getting a code inside the box. So do keep that in mind. So the next couple of weeks I believe are going to be very huge for GTA 6 news. So hopefully we get some clarity from either Rockstar or Take Two soon. And let me know what you guys think about everything we covered out today down in the comments. I really do read through them, so if you enjoy the video, a like helps a ton, and make sure you're subscribed if you're new here so you don't miss any GTA 6 coverage going forward. And go ahead and turn on the notifications too, because YouTube doesn't always alert you automatically. And pretty much that's it. So thank you guys for watching. Take care, and I will see you guys in the next one.